Well, hello again. Our heat index is down from 117 down to 104. And our oldest grandson, James, brought one of his cars over here to be repaired. He's going to leave it there till the temperature drops and then use the garage, and I'll help him. Not a problem. So right now, I just want to get across this really hot no man's land and get in that garage. It is time to clean out the old vinegar vat that I've been soaking all my rusty parts in. This thing has been in there now for at least 3 years. I got my money's worth out of it, but it's time for it to go. And keep in mind, it is biodegradable. It's vinegar, it's apple juice. So I'll be scooping it out with a gallon milk jug, putting it in a pail and dumping it out in the yard, and then when I get it down low enough, I'll take the entire thing out and dump her out and wash her out and start all over again if need be. I might not have to. I don't think I have a lot of parts that need derusting. You can see just a little bit of stirring, just a little bit, and it just all that crap comes up from the bottom. It's had its lick. It did a really good job for me though. Which brings us to our chore today to get this bumper off of here. I think it's going to be a little bit more than what I bargained for. There are some pretty big bolts holding this thing on. That one down there, the big one, it's not even in the bumper. Oh boy, that's Anyway, we're going to get it off one way or the other because I need to get up in here and get all this derusted. And I have bought the necessary things to coat it with. We're going to try a little experiment this time. Well, right off the bat, I've run into the same problem I had with one of those bumper guards. The bolt is spinning round and round, the nuts on the other end. Well, there is a chance I can jam 2 or 3 screwdrivers in there against the bottom of that nut. You know, one screwdriver on top of another, and then keep that nut, you know, from turning. And I don't know, get a little focus here for you. If I can jam enough of it in there, I don't know. I'm going to shoot it with PV Blaster one more time. I may have to tap these screwdrivers in there with a hammer so they really wedge tight against that nut. We shall see. Well, I've got 3 screwdrivers wedged in there. I used my ball peen hammer to tap them on in there and wedge them nice and tight. But I think I'm still, and then I get that wrench on the other side, I think I'm still going to have to hold the handles, you know, together as much as I can. Hopefully that bolt will come out. Chances are it won't. Well, as you can see, my pie in the sky wishful dreams didn't work too well. So I had to get out the old Mr. Sawzall and cut that bolt head off. It's the only way I could get it out. And then once I got that off and released all the other bolts on the bumper, I was able to take it down. Now this thing here was down inside there all the way and laying on the bottom, and then I finally was able to get it to come through the hole, but it was jamming right there. It was jamming along this edge. So I had to take my old moto tool with one of these little round cutting wheels. I had a small one, fortunately, and I was able to, you know, grind it down enough where I could jam this. I actually jammed it almost through. It's right about there like that. She jammed almost through from the inside. Then I just took a screwdriver, ran it down through here with my ball peen hammer, which is right there. And then I just kept going bang, 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 and it finally drove the bolt through. Then I found out why I had to cut it off. Why the nut wouldn't come off. When that was the thing that told the tale. As you can see, this thing has been cross-threaded. And they kept tightening and tightening it, and then the welds broke loose there and there on both sides of this puppy right here. Broke it right out. So they just left it. See, this thing here, I can't figure out where to get any of these. These are 1/2 inch size. Nick Pepe, if you're out there and you can tell me where I can get some of these, I need 2 of them. Let me know. I'll go ahead and order them. But I went down to my favorite hardware store, and the best they could do, I think, was 7/16, something like that, and or 3/8. The best they could do was 3/8. But I needed, that's a 1/2 inch size bolt. That's this big sucker right here. If the temperature will cool down a little bit out there so I can take this thing outside, I want to put this large wheel, derusting wheel, on my electric drill and get up in there with it like that. The wheel I had was too small But this one here will get up in there. The other one was so small the drill would have hit against this right here. So this will get up in there pretty much. Do the best I can. You know, dealing with rusty bolts on a car, especially if you have a car that's from up north, I can't even imagine doing that. I've talked to Brendan, who lives up there in Michigan. He tells me some really wild stories. He said if I didn't have a torch, I could have never worked on a car. He had to really heat those babies up to get the rust off of it. I don't know how he ever put up with that. I just couldn't do it. I mean, I lived in the north for a while, but not as long as he did. And we did have rusty cars. My very first car, a 1958 Plymouth, over the headlights, completely rusted away. I had to completely rebuild that baby. 4,000 pounds of body putty. That worked out great. That's all I knew when I was I think I got the car at 17. Let me cover one thing for you young mechanics that are just starting out. You see this rusty bolt right here? Now it's moving. It's a 1/2 inch. I got my ratchet on it, and it is moving. Now keep in mind one thing. As you take bolts out, especially if they're rusty, that bolt begins to heat up. It gets warm. It really does. And in some cases, if it's really, really tight, and you're sitting there putting 100 pounds of muscle per square centimeter on it, it's going to get really hot. And you know, that's when the bolt does what? It snaps off. It snaps off down in there. And you know, you're going to stand back and look and say, I don't understand that. It was coming out good. I mean, I was just slowly getting it out. Well, sometimes you got to go back the other way, you know. If it's starting to bind up on you a little bit, go back the other way, okay? A couple of turns. Then go back this way. And go back again the other way. See, this is called finessing a bolt out of a hole. Don't be a dummy, okay? If it starts like right now, see, it's beginning to bind up on me. Flip it, go back the other way. You squirt it a couple of times with penetrating oil to help you out. As it comes out, you're going to get a little bit more space there where you can spray it. Okay, you don't have to shower down on it. Just get enough in there. And then slowly work it back and forth. And that's how, and see, it's beginning to work smoother already, okay? Nice and easy. When you feel that thing beginning to tighten up like it is right now, again, don't get too antsy. When you get toward the end, it's like everything I told you guys when I was repairing radios. If you guys listen to me, when you get toward the end, that's the time to slow down. Remember, back and forth, work it out, finesse it out, okay? Well, now I remember why I spliced those parking light wires together. This is the plug right here. The two connect together right there, and it runs down to a rubber grommet. Now this rubber grommet, right now, if I can get a little close up here, that rubber grommet right there goes through this piece of metal and then on down to the parking light. It's pretty hard as a rock. I remember I didn't want to destroy it, but all I had to do was just go ahead and splice the wires together from the new parking light, and that worked out a whole lot better. So I don't know, I'm going to try one more thing before I cut though. Well, my idea worked. I went ahead and took out the lens and took out the bulb, and once I did that, I was able to work the socket loose from the rear. And there's the socket. I just took my pair of pliers I had here that was given to me by Johnny U, our northern Arkansas Yankee, and I just went around there like that, clamped it around there and gently, and just rotated it left and right. I could do that because I had removed them once before. And here's the second one, no problem. You know, this just is more proof to our younger fellas out there, and ladies if you're working on cars, to if you run into something that looks a little complicated, don't give up, just think about it, think it out. And you'll come up with a solution that'll be a whole lot easier than what you first wanted to do, almost every time. It's not foolproof, of course, but it usually happens. And you will be able to make these things, anything, bend to your will. It's as simple as that. You got to have that attitude. You know, this kind of brought back a memory while I was doing this, while I was thinking about other things. You get in the process of thinking about other things while you're doing things like this. And I remember, I've never told everybody that wifey used to call me Buddy all the time. And, you know, it all started out when we first got married. We had been married for just a couple of weeks, I guess. And I wanted her to do something, and she said, no, I'm not doing that. I said, what do you mean you're not doing that? You know, you're the wife, I'm the husband. You know, you're supposed to bend to my will. And she looked at me and said, well, that's what you think, buddy. Until next time, This is John.